Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is an historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another, not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are all welcome here. Our chalice lighting today is a poem by Welsh-American poet David Whyte called Santiago. Let's take a moment and a communal breath and settle here comfortably while these sacred words of art wash over us. Santiago. The road seen, then not seen. The hillside hiding, then revealing the way you should take. The road dropping away from you as if leaving you to walk on thin air, then catching you, holding you up when you thought you would fall. And all the way forward, always in the end, the way that you followed, the way that you came, the way that carried you into your future, that brought you to this place. No matter that it sometimes had to take your promise from you, no matter that it always had to break your heart along the way, the sense of having walked from far inside yourself out into the revelation. To have risked yourself for something that seemed to stand both inside you and far beyond you, and that called you back in the end to the only road you could follow, walking as you did in your rags of love, and speaking with that voice that by night became a prayer for safe arrival. So that one day you realized that what you had wanted had already happened, and long ago, and in the dwelling place in which you lived before you began. And that every step along the way, you had carried the heart and the mind and the promise that first set you off and drew you forward. And that you were more marvelous in your simple wish to find a way than all the gilded roofs of any destination you could reach. As if all along you had thought the end point might be a city of golden towers and cheering crowds, and turning the corner at what you thought was the end of the road. You found a simple reflection and a clear revelation beneath the face looking back, and beneath it another invitation, all in one glimpse, like a person or a place you had sought forever, like a broad field of freedom that beckoned you beyond, like another life and the road still stretching on.
The sound of music, with songs they have sung for 1,000 years. Thy hills fill my heart with the sound of music. My heart wants to sing every song it hears. My heart wants to beat like the wings of the birds that rise from a lake to the trees. My heart wants to sigh like a chime that flies from a church on a breeze, to laugh like a brook as it trips and falls over stones on its way, to sing through the night like a lark who is learning to pray. I go to the hills when my heart is lonely. I know I will hear what I've heard before. My heart will be blessed with the sound of music, and I'll sing once more.
Thank you. As we gather, we acknowledge the Arlington Street Church occupies the ancestral homeland of the Massachusetts. By making this land acknowledgement, we recognize, honor, and affirm the sovereignty of all First Nation people. Good morning, and welcome to our Zoomers, and welcome to the congregation gathered here in person in the sanctuary today. We also have some special guests, 2 coming-of-age groups, one from Canton, New York, I believe. You're up there. And, oh, the Canton's down here, sorry, Canton, hello. And another from Fairfax, Virginia. And you're up there, I guess. Welcome, welcome. I'm Cal Alford. I feel exceptionally lucky to have found Arlington Street Church when I moved here from Colorado to attend Boston University School of Theology. I've just finished my first year there, and I will be serving as your student minister next year here. It's wonderful to be among you. Reflecting on Reverend Kim's sermon a few Sundays ago, I must say this beloved spiritual community is saving me, along with my friends and family. Reverend Kim, Mark David Buckles, and Reverend Beth are away today. Daryl Waters and I are joined by collaborative pianist Youngju Young and soprano Eve Loria. Thank you, friends. And a very special thanks to all our volunteers in the sanctuary today, tech team, Great Doors team, greeters, and ushers. Thank you, friends. If there are any little ones who want to venture over, Sarah and Morgan Kulibeck are both here today and welcome you to feel free to go now. For those of you who are new to Arlington Street, a very special welcome. For those of you in the sanctuary, there are welcome cards in the pew racks. Please hand yours to an usher or drop it in the basket at the Great Doors as you leave. For those of you in the Zoom room, please fill out a connection card. The link is in the chat, and it includes the option to request the link to the recording of today's sermon. Reverend Kim and Reverend Beth would love to welcome you with a virtual hello. Whether you've been coming here for years or today is your first time at Arlington Street, welcome home.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Waters, Chair of the Worship Committee. Today's order of service is available on the homepage at ascboston.org and will appear in the Zoom chat. If you're in the sanctuary in person, there's a template order of service in your pew and a QR code you can scan for more details. As we begin our greetings, I invite the Zoomers and those here in person with a device handy to please say hello in the chat and tell us where you're zooming in from today. And now, Rich is going to turn the camera on the incarnate congregation as we wave and smile at each other, as our friends in the Zoom room. And you all in the Zoom room can wave and smile back. Hello, friends. Let's all engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart. Our opening hymn is hymn number 38, Morning Has Broken, and you can find it in the great hymnal and in the chat. Let's rise in body, rise in spirit, and sing together hymn number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. These candles were submitted on our website by the Friday evening deadline. If you didn't submit your candle and have a joy or sorrow to share this morning, please wait until the third candle is lit, the silent candle, and then type your joy or sorrow in the chat. Zoomers are invited to light silent candles at home. Those here in person are invited to light a silent candle at the table up front to the right of the Gleason podium. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Welcome together or apart, may we stay very close. And now, in the spirit of invocation, let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary.
Some of us come here today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
We have one candle of sorrow today, a candle of sorrow from the Arlington Street Church community as we celebrate the life of Tina Turner, who died this past week at the age of 83. One of the best tributes came from actress Angela Bassett, who played her in the 1993 biopic, What's Love Got to Do with It? Through her courage in telling her story, through the commitment to stay the course in her life, no matter the sacrifice, and her determination to carve out a space in rock and roll for others who look like her, Tina Turner showed others who lived in fear what a beautiful future filled with love, compassion, and freedom should look like. Tina Turner, presente.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary.
Some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
A candle of joy today from Barb Seidel. Dan Simpson and Barb Seidel share the joy that Barb's parents, Ann and Fred Seidel, have returned from their winter home in St. Petersburg, Florida. Welcome back to Boston and welcome home to Arlington Street. And our final candle is a mixed one from Eve Loria. For my beloved friend Andy, who had a radical mastectomy on Friday, she's recovering well, and I want for her the best adjustment possible to this big change.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary. To be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary.
all the sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together for ourselves, for one another, for our country, and for the world. Amen.
Let's join now in saying together the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another.
El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación, y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Our next hymn is hymn number 12 in the gray hymnal, O Life That Maketh All Things New. Let's rise in body, rise in spirit, and sing together hymn number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New.
Yvonne Chenard holds a very special place in my curio cabinet of inspiring humans. He's a fierce environmentalist, fly fisherman, adventurer, maker of things, a creative caretaker of people, place, and work. And paradoxically, he's also an accidental business phenom, founder of the well-known outdoor brand Patagonia. When Yvon Chouinard was still a young dirtbag rock climber living out of his car and eating dented cans of cat food that he could buy for 5 cents a piece, he inadvertently started a company, blacksmithing pitons and carabiners for his friends and fellow climbers. The company would succeed, and in the 1970s, he pioneered progressive business practices that sadly are still far from the norm today. Practices such as paid parental leave, company childcare, sustainable and transparent supply chains. He went on to become a billionaire, and this really, really made him angry, because he believed that every billionaire was a policy failure. But that's a story, and probably a sermon, yes, definitely a sermon for another day. For today, I want to start with my favorite Yvonism, born of his experience and to my mind, deeply true, which is, the adventure begins when things start to go wrong. The adventure begins when things start to go wrong. I love these words. They're an American cowboy koan. As a culture, we are captivated by the idea of adventure, drawn to desire the exhilarations and epiphanies of new experiences, new frontiers, new territories of land, mind, and spirit. Oh yes, adventure makes us feel alive, vital, like we've said yes to life. But wait, what? We don't want things to go wrong, do we? We're longing and happy to experience the unexpected delight and novelty of adventure, but we also work very hard to avoid encounter with unexpected dangers and hazards. We certainly don't want to risk things going wrong. But according to Yvon, and I think he's onto something here, we don't get to call it adventure. The adventure does not even begin until something goes wrong, until a mistake is made, or we're lost, or something or someone fails, or we are prevented from proceeding. Only then, when we are humiliated by failure, doubt, disorientation, injury, loss. Only then, when comfort and security are stripped away by something going wrong, can we call it adventure, and can we call ourselves adventurers. Our English word for adventure first appeared in the 13th century in Old French as aventuren, meaning to wander, to seek, to risk the loss of, to undertake a trial of one's chances. This idea of reaching beyond the familiar to the unknown in the spirit of longing and adventure echoes clearly in the first few lines of a very early Mary Oliver poem called Magellan. It's a poem written when Mary was only 28, and it's somewhat uncharacteristic for its bravado. She writes, "Like Magellan, let us find our islands to die in, far from home, from anywhere familiar. Let us risk the wildest places, lest we go down in comfort and despair." Now, for those of us here today in this beautiful, storied sanctuary, pretty far from the wildest places, we who are not necessarily climbers or kayakers or mountaineers planning our next exhilarating adventure, or like Magellan, setting out to discover and conquer new continents and new worlds. This might seem somewhat of a reckless, adrenaline-filled metaphor. I think it works, though, in part because I love metaphor as a way to gild the frames of our ordinary lives, and in part because I think it's helpful and imaginative to embrace the mystery of our ordinary lives as a long series of ordinary and extraordinary adventures, inherently seeded as they are with ordinary and extraordinary failure, doubt, disorientation, injury, loss. And this is the deep and paradoxical wisdom of Yvon Chouinard when he says the adventure begins when things start to go wrong. Failure, doubt, disorientation, injury, loss, these are the seeds of adventure. Things going wrong precedes adventure, not the other way around. We practice adventure when we avoid both comfort and despair, when we sit with the possibility that we're bored or restless, or that we've lost our way, or we've lost ourselves, or that we don't know the outcome, or that things may go wrong. We practice adventure when we forge through the despair and the comfort to risk ourselves for something that we sense stands inside us and far beyond us, both. We can risk an awkward exchange with a stranger in the airport when our flight is delayed. We can risk picking up the phone to call an old friend with whom we have a stubborn, languishing disagreement. We can risk a mini sightseeing tour in a strange part of town after we've missed our exit on the freeway. There may be a time to risk the dreaded conversation with our child's pediatrician when our child is clinically failing to thrive. And there may come a time to finally risk absorbing the agonizing truth from your dad's cardiologist that there's no more they can do for him, and it's time to return home and call hospice. There was a time I had to risk confessing to a husband of 27 years and a gaggle of young adult children that I was not straight, and that although it was much later in my full life, I probably never was straight, but did not know there was another way until now. And I risked this truth even knowing it meant our family would look and feel different now. We practice adventure over and over by exercising risk. We risk knowing the stranger. We risk apologizing. We risk being lost. We risk acceptance. We risk letting go. We risk telling the truth. Some of these adventures in risking ourselves will feel life-giving, and some of them will not, leaving us feeling utterly annihilated. But as Zen teacher Graf Durkheim reminds us, only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over again to annihilation can that which is indestructible arise within us. Sometimes we set out intentionally to wander on the road seen, to climb, to paddle, traverse, and this outing begins with a hunger, a wanting born of desire, or boredom, or restless longing to get out of our comfort zone. And sometimes we find ourselves on the road not seen, the one that drops away, leaving us to walk on thin air in despair. And it is in both these places that we are called to practice adventure deeply and authentically, wandering through the land of things going wrong to this knife edge of the present moment. It is in this practice of adventure and in this place of disorder that we will be called back to that which is indestructible in us, to the heart and the mind and the promise that first called us forth into what we risked. When we become more marvelous in our simple wish to find a way back onto the road to ourselves and our community. Dear ones, know this. We are together in this life, in this adventure, and adventure and life take practice. Whether the road is seen or hidden, whether you feel brave or bashful, even if your promises have been taken from you and your heart is broken, whether you were well parented or still long to be parented well. As we prepare to return to our ordinary, everyday lives, let's prepare our hearts to practice adventure, to risk traveling to the wildest places beyond comfort and despair, by releasing the stale identities and entitlements that mask the indestructibility of our own resilient, reliable hearts. And from this new heart center, deep inside ourselves, let's walk out into the shared road together. Let's proceed by seating our hearts with our simple wish to find a way, walking as we are, only in our rags of love, provisioned with grace, courage, humility, and humor, always humor, so that we may grow sturdier and stronger for our next practice of adventure, risking both failure and faith, longing and love. Let's embark, hoping for the best, but knowing full well if our adventure-framed lives are real, things will go wrong. And it's with this acceptance of this legacy that we will live fully into this adventure called life. Befriending one another, forgiving one another, getting lost, being brave, accepting difficult news, and telling the truth. One step at a time on thin air and solid ground, one risk at a time, rescuing us from comfort and despair, beckoning us to the freedom that is our life, on this road, still stretching on. Travel safe, dear ones. Amen.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of that and someone believed it. Look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing? And what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. All of us under its spell, we know that it's probably magic. Have you been half asleep? And have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is this the sweet sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da da dee, da da do, la da 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 dee, da do.
Thank you, Eve and Young Jew. Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. It's up to us, and our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, our building, and our beloved spiritual community. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. This month's beneficiary is the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute Mother's Day Walk for Peace. You can read more about it at ascboston.org. Thank you for your generosity. Today's poem comes from Walt Whitman's Song of the Open Road, Part 15. Allons, the road is before us. It is safe. I have tried it. My own feet have tried it well. Be not detained. Let the paper remain on the desk unwritten and the book on the shelf unopened. Let the tools remain in the workshop. Let the money remain unearned. Let the schools stand. Mind not the cry of the teacher. Let the preacher preach in his pulpit. Let the lawyer plead in the court and the judge expound the law. Camerado, I give you my hand. I give you my love more precious than money. I give you myself before preaching or law. Will you give me yourself? Will you come travel with me? Shall we stick by each other as long as we live? Please take a moment now to join me in giving to our beloved spiritual community and filling our virtual collection plate. You can give online by scanning the QR code in the order of service. Go to ascboston.org, text your gift, or Venmo at Arlington Street. You can mail a check to the church or use the envelopes in the pews, which can be handed to me or to any of our ushers after the service. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you again, young Jew. There are weekly gatherings in the Zoom room for loving kindness, meditation, poetry, yoga, and writing. Every Wednesday, Reverend Kim and Reverend Beth host a tea party with a conversation prompt. This week's prompt is, Did you ever get a great perk or benefit from knowing someone who knew someone? For those of you in Boston next Sunday, June 4th, please join George and Gaby Whitehouse for the final brunch of the church year. Please BYO wallet. Following the service, please meet them on the front steps at the great doors for the short walk to Precinct Kitchen. Much more information and Zoom room links are at ascboston.org. To attend to any of them, you don't have to be a member, you don't have to turn on your video or talk if you don't want to, and they're all free. All are always welcome. Following the service, everyone is welcome to join the virtual coffee hour. If you'd like to participate, please answer yes to the breakout room invitation that will appear on your screen. If you're here in the sanctuary, you'll need to go to the Zoom room before the Postlude begins. Thanks to all of you who joined in today's service and to all those who made it possible. Remember, we're all in this together. Our final hymn is 1064 in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. Let's rise in body, rise in spirit, and sing together 1064, Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dryland heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Thank you. Before our benediction, I invite you, those of you in the Zoom room, to please reach out your hands and touch the edges of your Hollywood squares. And those of you in the sanctuary, please raise your hands, palms out, Let's send loving kindness to the people to your left, the people to your right. Send loving kindness to the person on either side of you and to the people on either side of them. Send out this love to our beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. And now for our benediction, I invite you to put your hands on your heart in namaste. I bow to the divine in you. Let's prepare our hearts to practice adventure, to risk traveling to the wildest places beyond both comfort and despair. If our adventure-framed lives are real, things will go wrong. And it's with the acceptance of this legacy that we will live fully into this adventure called life. Keep the faith and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Bless your hearts. Travel safe, dear ones. Amen.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.